Well, hello and welcome back. I'm Britt Hume, and this is On the Record. First, a quick glance at the state of the presidential race. The Real Clear Politics average of recent polls is holding steady tonight, with Hillary Clinton holding a 2.7 lead in a two-way race. That shrinks to only 2.1 points in a four-way race. Another poll number always worth keeping an eye on is the president's approval rating, which has frequently been an indicator of how his party's nominee will do in the election. Mr. Obama's tonight stands at just above 50%, and the Real Clear Politics average, that, as you can see, is just under 5 percentage points above the disapproval number. But the numbers are just about the reverse when it comes to Mr. Obama's signature domestic achievement, Obamacare. A Gallup poll out tonight shows 51% disapprove with 44% approving. And then there's this number when the question of whether the program has helped or hurt your family. As you can see, only 18% say it's helped. For more on the state of this unusual race, we turn now to Dana Perino, who many of you know is the co-host of the wildly popular late afternoon show, The Five. Hello, Dana.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Give me your, I haven't talked to you in a while, so give me your sort of overall thoughts about this presidential race and where it seems to you to be going.
Well, I think that if you had take a snapshot last year and fast forward and say, where do you think you'll be in September of 2016, we would probably have said that the country is polarized, that Hillary Clinton, on the path to 270 electoral votes, has the advantage, but that Donald Trump can certainly win this race if he plays his cards right. He got some good poll numbers today in some of the battleground states in Florida and Ohio. Not doing as well in Pennsylvania as he would like, but that's okay. Republicans can win without Pennsylvania. Where he has to be concerned is probably North Carolina. So you're getting down to the nitty-gritty, but, you know, I'm really good at sports metaphors, Britt. You might not know that. This is the way I describe it. I know a little bit about boxing. You know when the boxers are just stuck in the middle and they're hugging it out and no one can land a knockout punch? I think that's where we are on September of 2016.
Well, you said if Mr. Trump plays his cards right, and what, in your view, would that mean? Well,
part of it is that he's had a pretty good month, right? So his fundraising numbers are decent. I think that he has stabilized after he brought in the new campaign management of Kellyanne Conway. The media momentum for him has been very good. The thing is that Hillary Clinton's media has been really bad this past week, but then almost every single time Donald Trump ends up rescuing her, and you have, going into the weekend, a conversation not about his decent performance, if you think that he did well at the Commander-in-Chief Forum, but she comes out today and says, I'm going to hold a serious press conference about national security, and we're going to talk all weekend about his affection for Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia.
We have a little bit of that, Dana, from Secretary Clinton after she came out of her meeting with national security advisors. Let's listen to it.
Secretary Clinton, do you have a response to Donald Trump appearing on Russian-funded television?
You know, every day that goes by, this just becomes more and more of a reality television show. It's not a serious presidential campaign.
In case you couldn't quite hear her, she was talking about, the question was about Donald Trump appearing on Russian television. In fact, he did an interview with Larry King, whom we all know from years and years on American television, who does a podcast that airs on RT, which is Russian television, or Russia Today, I think it's called formally. And so he was in a position of, you know, saying his usual stuff. The Trump camp is saying tonight they didn't know this was going to be on Russian television. So how does that play in your judgment?
When you have an entire staff and they're professionals, like, you should know that Larry King's work shows up on Russia Today, which is state-run propaganda arm of Russia television. Now, Larry King is a friend of Donald Trump. He's a friend of a lot of people. He's been in media for a long time. Here's the thing I would ask. Why does Donald Trump need to do a podcast with Larry King anyway? He did it as a favor. Larry King's a friend of his, but what votes are you going to actually solidify by doing a podcast with Larry King? He's very good at media. He loves it. And the thing with a candidate at this point in the race, if you're Kellyanne Conway, is trying to figure out a way to tell the candidate, I know the last thing you want to do is to have to call these 5 people and talk to them about why you need their support and maybe ask them for money for the fundraising for the campaign. Because what he would rather do is eat dessert, which is the fun media interviews that he gets to do. But this one, once again, came back to bite him.
Now, he's been in this interview and everywhere else where we hear him, he won't back off in any meaningful way, his praise of Vladimir Putin, saying, as you know, he and his running mate as well have said that Vladimir Putin has been a stronger leader for Russia than President Obama has been for this country. How, in your judgment, does that play?
With his base, it probably plays just fine. With me, which I'm not his base, I'm just an analyst here on television, and I used to work for the federal government and in the White House, I find Vladimir Putin and everything that he stands for to be repugnant. And if you look, for example, I mentioned North Carolina. There's a lot of military votes to pick up in North Carolina. Usually Republicans poll around 60% approval with the military. Right now, Donald Trump in the Quinnipiac poll today shows that he's at 46%. That's fine, but it's probably not good enough. When you're talking about serious national security issues and the race is this close and he is within striking distance, he can win it. I don't understand the affection for Vladimir Putin unless, Britt, it's real, and in which case that would be troubling.
Well, you know, it tells you something about politics when somebody says something that's real, and that's the problem.
Well, and
Dana.
remember when Donald Trump said that, you know, he says, well, Vladimir Putin has an 82% approval rating. All I could think was that it's 82% because Putin was feeling extra modest that day when he put it out.
Yeah, got that, Dana. Thanks very much. Always good to see you.